Hello, I'm back. Welcome to Rich Girl Book Club. I'm Jess, the owner of this club, and I invite you to join if you want to get a little bit richer and a little bit smarter. Okay, really excited to talk about some current books that I'm reading slash read, and also talk about my TBR for spring. So, have a lot of books to talk about, and I just want to get right into it. But again, I'm Jess. Please subscribe if you are interested in anything personal finance related, or bookish related, or fitness related. I have a lot of interests that I'll be sharing on this channel. And I'm back, so I'm really excited about it. Also, I must give a shout out to my little friend over here, Henry. What's up? That's my corgi. And he's chilling. So, welcome, Henry. Welcome to the video. Okay, so let's get right into it. I'm going to go over a couple books that I have read in the past month, over February and March. I was sick for a couple weeks, so that was not fun, but it did help me get a little bit back into reading. So, the first book I want to talk about is this book right here, I Didn't Know I Needed It, by Eli Rallo. I think I said her name right. So this is a memoir of sorts, a nonfiction of sorts. If you don't know, the author is a YouTuber influencer online. So Eli does lists on her account. She's very motivational, very aspirational as well, and she wrote this book. Now, going into this book, I didn't know too much about it. I knew it was around, so her tagline for the book is the new rules for flirting, feeling, and finding yourself. Which I should have realized that as a engaged girly didn't really need the half of this book. I think this book is perfect if you're in high school or college. I think I'm a little outgrown from it, which I didn't really think about because I'm pretty sure I'm the same age as Eli, but I think that the way she wrote this was really smart. It was geared toward her younger demographic. So really like the book. I'm going to give it a 3.5 to 4 stars out of 5 because I think if you're the right audience for this, it's perfect, it's straightforward, it's blunt, it's amazing. The anecdotes that she includes in it, couldn't really recommend it more. So I really do think it's a great book. I just think for me personally, I didn't get as much out of it, but I would love to read whenever she writes in the future. I know that Eli Rallo is really interested in writing more, so I would love to see what she writes in the future. I love following her. She is currently planning her wedding as well, so that's something that we are on the same path and have a lot of similarities in life. Okay, so moving on. The next book I want to talk about, I read on Kindle, so I'll put a picture here or wherever, and it is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. I don't know how to say author's name. I'm so sorry, okay? But the author of The Silent Patient released The Fury, another book, and this is another thriller, suspenseful, psychological read. And I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on it, but I thought it was really interesting and pretty good. There were parts that were slower than others, but then without getting into it, I understand why they had to include certain backstory things. But essentially, you think it's a whodunit, murder on an island with rich people. That's really what it's set up to be, but there's something else going on, and there's a little twist in there. And I kind of caught the twist right before it happened, but I still thought it was pretty crazy. So I really recommend this book. It hasn't stuck with me as much after finishing it. I probably finished it about 3 weeks ago at this point, and I don't really think too much about it, but I do find it really interesting. So for me, this is a solid 4 out of 5 star thriller. I would recommend it. I think it's worth reading it, especially if you enjoy The Silent Patient and you like this author. There's something really unique about the writing that I really appreciate. So 4 to 5 stars for The Fury. Moving on. This is the third book that I'm going to talk about reading recently, and it is Daydream by Hannah Grace, the third book in the Maple Hills series. I think that's the name of the series. So the first book in the series is Icebreaker. Icebreaker's pretty infamous. It really got everyone on the bandwagon for hockey romances. So I had to read Icebreaker, of course. And I did, I think last winter, I read Icebreaker. I thought it was really good. I liked it. I thought it was very different. I think the author, Hannah Grace, has a unique voice and how she portrays her characters. She talks about putting a lot of herself into her characters, so they feel very personal and real. They're not like unnecessarily quirky, but they're all different, and they don't act like characters in a book, if that makes sense. They act like real people, and I really appreciate that. So anyways, Icebreaker was great. Then the second book in the series, Wildfire, is still my favorite in the series. This one takes place at a summer camp, and that couple, something about it just really, I just really loved it. So Wildfire is definitely number 1. Daydream, the third book in the series, is going to come in at number 2. So this was Henry's book, which, yes, my dog's also Henry. Henry the hockey player has his love story in this book, and again, there's certain pieces about his personality, his struggles, and the female main character and her struggles in this book that just make them so relatable and real that I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was a great story. I thought there wasn't any unnecessary conflict for no reason, maybe like a little bit. And there were a couple things that I didn't love here and there, but overall, really great, solid story. And I think I like it a little bit more than Icebreaker. Just something about their relationship and how they show up for each other was really cute. So definitely recommend the whole series. And I don't know if there's any more, but I would be excited to keep reading the series if that so happens. I also need to look into Hannah Grace and see if she has any other books or any series out there to read. I don't know, but I would definitely be interested. Okay, so this one's gonna come in. I think Daydream is a 4.5 stars out of 5. Really liked it. Maybe 4.25, just because I think Wildfire was 4.5, so I would just place it like a little bit lower. But overall, 3 great reads that I've really been enjoying lately, and it's getting me back into reading. I started off the year a little bit slow. I started off the year with a DNF, and then I think like 2 books later it was another DNF, and that usually does not happen to me, so I think I was just in a little bit of a slump, but we're back. And I'm going to talk about my favorite books on my TBR right now to continue the good vibes and get me excited to continue reading. Okay, so let's get into my TBR for spring, my to be read. I always like to say that because I remember when I started watching book videos, I didn't know what TBR was. What are we talking about? Also, DNF means did not finish, okay? So, want to throw that out there. Yeah. Okay. The first book on my spring TBR that I need to read next is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. I love Lynn Painter and everything that she writes. Better Than the Movies is the first book, and this is the second book. There's also Betting on You and The Do-Over. So you've probably recognized these books, all by Lynn Painter. I love her. She writes the best young adult romance novels. I like young adult romance novels. I like to pretend like I'm still a young adult. So, Nothing Like the Movies, the second book after Better Than the Movies. Better Than the Movies is so stinking cute. The plot is that this girl, she really loves rom-com movies and applies it to her life, which is, can I just say, very relatable. So she does that, and she's chasing after this guy. I think he moves back to town, and she always had a crush on him or something like that. Basically, there's the guy, and she's trying to go for the guy. But then her annoying neighbor comes along, and the rest is history after there. I'm sure you get it. But the pop culture references, the rom-com movie references, the Taylor Swift references, chef's kiss, amazing. Pretty sure it was a 5-star read for me when I read it. So now I finally got my hands on Nothing Like the Movies, and I'm really excited to see where this goes. I have a feeling I'm not going to like it as much because of what I've heard about this, is that it's still really good, but it's the same couple, and I think they go to college, and they do some things a little out of character, which gives me mixed feelings because I think when you enter a different phase of life, you might be acting out. So I can see how that would be normal, but then also it's really hard when you've really attached yourself to these characters and how they are. So definitely am curious about this book, and I want to read it. It's pretty long for a romance book, so I'm curious what all is packed in here, but really excited to get into it, and I've had this book for a couple months, so definitely going to prioritize that in the next month. Okay. The next book is The Blonde Identity by Allie Carter. Okay. The Blonde Identity. I got this book for my friend Emily, and I'm really excited to read it. Allie Carter wrote the Gallagher Girls series. I had always heard about that series, specifically from my friend that gifted me this book. She always really loved it. And so in the fall, I read the first book in the Gallagher Girls series, I Tell You I Love You, But Then I Have to Kill You. I think that's what it's called. And really great book. Loved it. It's about these girls that go to a spy academy and all the craziness that goes on. And there's a boy with a local and all this stuff. I really loved it. But again, this was like YA that was like a little too YA for me. I know High School Jess would have been obsessed with that book and the whole series, of course. So I'm really excited that I could read this author, but now she has an adult book. I don't know how adult this book is, but it's not YA. So I'm really excited to see everything that happens in here, and I loved the author and how she writes, and I'm really just excited to dive into this. I don't really want to look too much into it. I really just want to dive right in. Looking at it, it's the middle of the night in the middle of Paris, and a woman just woke up with no memory. Sold. I'm sold. I love Paris, so spies, Paris, girlhood, sign me up. Sign me up for sure. So that is the next book that I really am excited to read. The third book on my TBR is Heartbreak is National Anthem, How Taylor Swift Reinvented Pop Music by Rob Sheffield. I cannot say anyone's last name, I'm so sorry. This is a short little book about the icon Taylor Swift. And I actually gifted this book to my friend for Christmas, and then my mom got this for me for Christmas. So I'm excited to read it. I've heard really good things. It's by, I want to say he's an interviewer, right? The author Rob Sheffield has interviewed Taylor multiple times, I want to say. So really curious to see his perspective on her work and her music and all that. So I think whenever I'm in the mood for maybe a palate cleanser or just a quick read in between books, I think that I will be picking up this one for sure and giving it a read. So those are my 3 books on my TBR and my 3 books that I just finished reading. But what am I reading right now? All right, let's talk about it. Right now, I'm almost done with the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. I don't even think I'd heard of Mel Robbins until this year. And then I think at the end of 2024, everyone started talking about the Let Them Theory, like, Mel Robbins, you know. And I finally drank the Kool-Aid, and I know who she is. I follow her podcast, and everyone's talking about her book, The Let Them Theory. I'm almost done with it, so I want to give a current recap of how I'm feeling about it. I think I'm at about 75%, so a good way through, just a little bit more there. And so far, I really like it. I think there's a lot of actionable things that you can do, which is what I like about a self-help book. She talks about what her theory is, the let them theory. The theory is to say, let them, okay? So if something's happening, someone's doing something you don't like, let them. Then the main second part of the theory is let me, okay? So let people do what they're gonna do, because you can't control other people's thoughts, feelings, emotions, or actions. And let me do whatever is in my control. Which is pretty crazy for a people pleaser to think about, and someone who tends to like to control situations, me. It's been really helpful as a really direct reminder, right? It's something easy to think about and remember. When something's happening that you don't like, let them do that action. Let me make my own choices and my decisions and reactions. So overall, really great theory. I think the book is great. I will say, I think if you follow her podcast, you were probably getting the same information and then some from her podcast. So I don't know if the book is the most necessary. I think it's going to end up being like a 3.5 star for me. Especially for one example, there's a whole section about adult friendships. And a month ago, I listened to her podcast episode about adult friendships, and she says the exact same things, which is fine. It's great content. You don't need to change it, right? Basically, I think it's a really great book and a really great concept, and I'm glad that I read it because it's been a pretty quick read for how long it is. Like, I'm able to really get through it quickly. I think it's worth it, and I like it. But I think I don't know, I'm really picky about self-help books. So that's what I'll say on that. All right. So I'll finish that book up soon and then give a full review. But thank you so much for clicking on this video. I love talking about books. And stick around if you want to see if I read the books on my TBR, if I read completely other books. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a book recommendation in the comments below. Give this video a like and subscribe to join the Rich Girl Book Club because I know you want to be rich. So you should join the club. And I will be launching my finance tracker very, very soon. And I'm really excited to share it with the world. All right. Thanks so much. Bye.